So do you want to know if Dr. Monroe story about the Loosh farm is true? Well, I asked ChatGPT. I said, do any ancient texts talk about how the earth is a Loosh farm, which means energy farm, and we're being drained for our energy from higher beings? If you don't know who Dr. Monroe is, just type in Dr. Monroe Loosh farm and you'll get an example. Well, not an example, but you'll get a reading, a description of what Loosh farm is all about. So ancient texts don't explicitly use the term Loosh farm, and I'm asking ChatGPT this, a concept popularized by Robert Monroe in his astral projection experiences. But there are several spiritual and philosophical writings that align with the idea that humans are being harvested for energy by higher beings. Here are a few examples. Gnostic texts. Nag Hammadi, Secret Gospel of John. So let's just look up the Gnostic texts and how old are the Gnostic texts? How old are Gnostic Gospels? So we got Gnostic Gospels like the Gospel of Thomas are generally dated to the 2nd and 3rd centuries AD through some scholars, though some scholars suggest earlier origins for certain elements. How about the Gospel of John, since we're talking about how old is the secret Gospel of John, Gnostic? Let me look that up, since that's what ChatGPT referenced. Let's see. The Secret Book of John, also known as the Apocryphon of John, is a 2nd century Gnostic Christian text, likely written before 180 AD, and is a pseudo-digraphical text attributed to John the Apostle. Here's a more detailed explanation. The Secret Book of John is a core text of the Scythian Gnostic tradition, a branch of Gnosticism that developed in the early to mid 2nd century. So we see that it's pretty ancient, right? So we got the Gnostic text, Nag Hammadi, Secret Gospel of John. Talks about energy harvested. Human beings are being harvested for energy. So Dr. Monroe is not some quack that's just in his imagination. He's actually valid in what he was saying. So we go here. The Gnostics believe that the world was created by an evil demiurge, often identified with the biblical Yahweh. And if you read and this what really turned me off from the Bible, just reading the Old Testament, that God just seemed so evil. The Old Testament God just seemed really evil, man. So, biblical Yahweh, who traps souls in the material world to feed off their spiritual energy. Humans were seen as divine sparks trapped in the prison of flesh, kept in a cycle of suffering and reincarnation. Don't you feel trapped in your body? Archons, rulers of the material world, were described as feeding off human ignorance and suffering, keeping people asleep to their true divine nature. Hinduism and the Vedas, man, and I love Hinduism. I love the Vedas. I love the knowledge of this right here, Maya and Samsara. The concept of Maya illusion in Hinduism suggests that the world is a deceptive construct meant to keep souls trapped in samsara, the cycle of rebirth. The Bhagavad Gita talks about how lower deities, devas, benefit from human worship and offerings, suggesting an energetic exchange. Some Tantric and Shaivite traditions believe that beings feed on different levels of human energy, including sexual, emotional, and mental energy. Buddhism, hungry ghosts and samsaric trap. Tibetan Buddhism describes hungry ghosts, beings that exist in a realm of insatiable hunger and desire, feeding off human emotions and suffering. That's bad. Some interpretations suggest that the entire reincarnation cycle is an energy trap designed to keep beings reborn so their energy can be harvested by higher dimensional entities. Like y'all, like this is scary because we can have all the knowledge, we can be awoke all we want to in this world. You know, we can feel like we have a higher vibration. We can feel like we're more conscious than the average person. But but we still gotta die. And how do we know we're not gonna forget everything we learned? I mean, we think we're conscious, but when we die, what if we just go back to reincarnation again? Go back to this cycle. Come back to Earth again. Well, we're more conscious than the average person, so we feel like we shouldn't be reincarnated again. We shouldn't have to incarnate back to this planet again. But what power do we have? You know what I'm saying? Just like when we dream, a lot of times we don't know we're dreaming. You know, until we wake up, then we realize, oh, we was dreaming. So, man, it's really bad. That really sucks. That's scary. So the Sumerian and Babylonian myths, Anunnaki, and energy harvesting. Ancient Sumerian texts, such as the Enuma Elish and Triphoses, tell stories of the Anunnaki, a group of gods who supposedly created humans to serve them. Some alternative researchers believe this suggests humans were created as a workforce or even an energy source for these advanced beings. The Bible and other Abrahamic texts. The Bible suggests that God demands constant praise and worship, similar to how beings would harvest energy. Yep. I mean, because why would you need constant praise and worship unless you getting something from it? It's feeding you, feeding the ego. Our energy is feeding you. That's just like when we watch a good movie. We're getting fed energy by watching that movie. You know, we're getting excited. We're getting thrilled. You know, in the book of Job, Satan and God seemingly bet on Job's suffering, which some interpret as beings feeding off human suffering and perseverance. The book of Enoch speaks of the watchers, fallen angels, who manipulated and fed off humanity's energy. Conclusion. While ancient texts don't outright state that Earth is a Loosh farm, many hint at energy exchanges, spiritual traps, and higher beings benefiting from human struggle, suffering, and devotion. If you combine these with modern esoteric ideas like Guruf, fourth way, Archon theory, or the Loosh concept from Robert Monroe, you get a picture of a spiritual matrix where human energy is harvested. Would you like me to dive deeper into any specific tradition? Well, energy can be seen as different forms of energy. Like this, we could be entertainment. That could be energy to the gods. You know, because Neville states that everything is a play. We're here as a play, like a movie. And the Bible states that he wrote us in the book of life. So we're all characters in a book, which is just like a movie, which is just like being in a movie. So we could be seen as God's entertainment. That's a form of energy. You know, if the gods are looking down on us and watching us, and we're entertaining them with, just like when we watch a porn movie, we get energy from watching that. We get entertained from that, an exchange of energy from that. We get aroused. That's a form of energy. Stimulated. We're getting stimulated from watching a porn or a movie. We're getting aroused. We're getting stimulated. That's a form of an exchange of energy. You know, and maybe we're seen as entertainment, sports. Maybe we're seeing, you know, just like we watch a football game. We watch them as entertainment. They're feeding us. We're feeding them. It's an exchange of both energies feeding off each other. You know, when we cheer them on, they're getting energy. And when we're cheering them, the opposing team, we're draining their energy because we're cheering for our team, our home team. You know. So energy can be seen in a bunch of different ways. Just like worshiping somebody, praising somebody, you're giving them energy. When you say good things about people, when there's a celebration, a birthday party, everybody's celebrating you. You're feeding off everybody's energy, right? When you listen to music, when the music is making you dance, and you get out there and you on the dance floor, you're feeding off the energy of the music. You know what I'm saying? The music is giving you energy, pumping you up, making you get out there and dance. Otherwise, you just would have been, you know, just sitting down. But then when you hear some music, don't that pump you up? Don't that give you energy? When you hear some club music, some dance music, don't that give you energy to get up? You know? So this could be, so Loosh, it could be seen as really an entertainment. When they say harvest the energy, that, you know, that could be really seen as entertainment. It doesn't actually mean you're being drained and your life force is being drained like it's some bad thing. Like, oh, like he's draining your life force, and then you're going to be a little twig when he get through with all your energy. He's going to drain all your energy. I don't think it's that. I think it's probably the fact that we're just entertainment. What we do maybe seen as entertainment to the higher beings, or You know, are they living through us in some type of way? Or they're some way they're being entertained by us in some type of fashion or form? You know, because it doesn't make sense that they need us to live. You know, we're all energy at the end of the day. And we do all feed each other. We do feed off each other, even on Earth. When animals eat other animals, they are feeding off each other's energy. You know what I'm saying? Well, when a lion eats a zebra, he's really just feeding off the zebra's energy. You know, two energies interacting with each other. You know, but the energy can never be destroyed. It can only be transferred or transformed to something else. You know what I'm saying? So you're not really destroying, because the whole world is an illusion anyway. So when that lion eats that zebra, it's not really destroying the zebra, because the zebra don't exist anyway. You know? So what's he doing? All he doing is transforming the zebra to another form of energy. So in an illusion, that energy is a zebra, but then that energy of that zebra gets transformed into a lion. You know, so now that energy of the zebra is a lion now. You know, and then that lion may use the bathroom and poop it out, poop some of the zebra energy out. And now, you know, that poop goes into the ground and fertilizes the ground. And now you got grass and flowers from the poop. And then you got wildebeests or grass eating animals eating the grass, transforming the energy into like a buffalo or something. So now that zebra, who used to be that lion, now is a buffalo. The energy is inside the buffalo. The energy of the zebra is inside the buffalo now. So energy is always transforming, being transformed and transferred into other things. So maybe these higher beings are maybe they are eating some of our energy, and it's transforming. It's, you know, our energy is getting transferred into them, and then who's to say that their energy is not being transferred into something else? Like they could be getting drained for their energy also. It's like a pecking order, the domino effect. Not to say that this is something evil. You know, maybe, you know, it's looked at as it's evil, but you can see it as evil, but maybe it's just a law. You know how we say the law of nature? Maybe it's just a law of energy. Because the law of nature is really the law of energy. So maybe this is probably how the natural order of things work in the universe. In consciousness. Maybe this is how the nature of consciousness work, where energy just eats other energy and transfers energy into different forms of energy. And it's just a cycle of energy transforming to different other cycles of energy. And this is how it always is and how it always going to be. So maybe we will always reincarnate into something. Because if you think about it, reincarnation is nothing but energy transforming or being transferred into other states of energy. That's reincarnation. This energy being transferred into other forms of energy. and we supposed to be escaping the cycle of they said life and death. But I don't think you can ever escape an energy cycle. I don't know. I think there's always the law of energy is always our energy has always been transformed and transferred something to something else. Maybe till you get to the top and you meet Brahma, and he's the all-knowing energy, and it probably stops there. Maybe because maybe this is all just a big game anyway. But that's it. That's all I wanted to share. Peace.